Well, hello, my friends. It's good to see you all. Um, I think everybody who's actually here knows who I am, but for those who may watch the later recording, my name is Safiyya bint Faris al-Dani. I'm a former baroness of the barony of Unsterhofen. I'm currently baronial herald. I've been baronial herald in the past. I've been a scribe for a long, long time. And I would like to share with you today how to submit an award recommendation. The submission process itself is really simple, but trying to figure out what awards might be applicable for a person gets a little bit trickier. So I'll show you the secrets today. I do have a handout that I typed up, so if anybody would like a copy of that, just message me, and I'll be happy to email it. Or maybe, I don't know if we can post it into like the Google page thing for Unsterhofen, because it's just basic info. Kitty. All right, let me get my screen shared.
I imagine we could also make it available in the files on our Unsterhofen Baronial Populace Facebook page if we wanted to do that.
Cool. Yeah, this is, I mean, of course, let me know if there's any typos or errors, but it's absolutely available to everybody. Let me find where my screen went. So here I mostly have this up so I can access different links, but we will just start at the beginning and work our way down. Let's see here. What are the awards that I can recommend? So you can actually recommend any award that exists so long as the individual lives in or does service for the group that registered that award. So you can't, for example, submit somebody from Unsterhofen for an award in Alberon if they've never even been to Alberon or done service for Alberon. That just doesn't match up. But of course, somebody from Alberon, of course, can get submitted for Alberon. Somebody from Unsterhofen can get submitted for Unsterhofen. What awards are there that you can submit? As far as baronial awards go, they're really easy to find on our own baronial website. Can you guys see that? I'm not sure what screen pops up. Do you see the baronial website now? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Wrong one. So if you go to Court and Officers, Baronial Awards, bloop, bloop, it has lovely visual representation of all the badges, the award names, and also what the award can be given for. It doesn't give a whole lot of detail, but if it's just a baronial award that you want to have issued, all you have to do is come here, see what a person may be eligible for, go back to Court and Officers, go to Court, and send a lovely email to our beautiful excellencies at either Baron at Unsterhofen or Baroness at Unsterhofen.org, and they can take it from there. It gets a little bit more complicated, however, if you want to submit kingdom level awards. So we're going to get into the meat of it now. So every kingdom is required to keep what's called an order of precedence, and that's kind of this really complex and weird, overly involved ranking system based on what awards you have and when that award was issued. But you want to go to outlandsheralds.org, and of course all these links will be in my handout, and click on Precedents and Awards, which takes you to a website managed by what's called our Wimble Herald. This is one person who basically gets court reports from all baronies and all kingdom courts about what awards were given, and they update the list. The first place you want to go, as far as knowing what awards are available, is awards by kingdom or barony right here. And each of these locations are a link that'll basically let you know what awards that kingdom or barony can issue. So we have here all of Unsterhofen's. Glorious Unsterhofen. So pretty. I'll let you guys look at that. I'll try to scroll a little slower. Are there any questions so far?
There are no questions currently in the chat. I will try to put the link to the pages you're visiting in the chat as we go.
No.
Just in case somebody wants to save the tabs or something.
Here you go. So this has everything. A couple of things you'll notice. Some of them say baronial AOA order or non-armigerous. Basically what that means is that if it's an armigerous award, it carries with it an award of arms. So if the person who gets that award doesn't already have an AOA, this award will grant them one. And that becomes really important on the baronial side of things because depending on the crown, sometimes that will limit or delay what awards can be given. If it says non-armigerous award like Corona Graminea or Rose d'Or or Noble's Gratitude, then they don't carry any real precedence. It's just like a really nice thing to give a person and they get the bragging rights of having that award. And it's always fun to see people get good stuff. The little links that say charter is interesting if you're into like heraldry geeky stuff. It kind of goes over a little mini constitution of sorts of what was submitted to the crown to make this award become official. It doesn't have the signatures, but it'll show you the Baron and Baroness, as well as the King and Queen who signed the charter to make this award come to life. And of course, there's a link sometimes for the badge of the order, which is helpful for scribes. So from here, once you understand the awards that are available, the next question is, what awards does a person already have? But I'm missing a step. Hang on a second. I want to show you under Outlands, there's awards that people don't really know about, like this one, Brendan Swatko for fighters under the age of 15. There's the Azure Mullet for arts for gentles 15 years or younger. Argent Rose for service for gentles 15 years or younger that don't get awarded too often, but I know we have people in Barony and around the kingdom within that age range who more than certainly deserve those awards. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, just so you know. Make sure you look through all of them because you can submit awards for anybody in kingdom, not just in Unserhofen. But that segue aside, the next place I will go is just under awards by barony or kingdom. There's all awards and orders for the outlands and baronies. Very wordy. But this is probably the best link on this website because it has not only the awards listed by a group, but if you click on a link of an award, let's go into Unserhofen, it will show you everybody who's ever received that award and the date that they got it. So the stonemason, for example, is not armigerous. It doesn't carry any kind of precedence. It's kind of a bragging rights sort of thing. There's no scroll that goes with it. You just get that really cool rock totem thing that hangs out on your mantle and collects dust. But here is a list of everybody who's received it since we started giving out this award. So you can go through this list, and if you see somebody who you believe totally deserves the stonemason, you can double check here to see if they've ever received it before. We'll look at another one really quick. Oh, let's look at some history. We'll look at the keepers of the portcullis. This is a long list that you'll find. There's Tracker, another former baron. There's Titus. Here's Sir Dietrich and the date that he got it. Here's Sir Mavriki. There's Thorfinn. Jarl Kolgrim, former king. I'm in here somewhere further down the list. Falky, I gave that one out. There I am. There's Lord Martine. Here's Haggis, Sir Samuel. So this is where you really want to go. And it takes some time because unfortunately these particular lists are chronological as opposed to alphabetical. But take some time and go through here and then you can know for sure if a person has ever already received an award. So any questions up to this point?
Actually, a functional question, since it's chronological and not alphabetical, can you hit Control F and use the find command to perhaps hunt for somebody's name more efficiently?
I've never tried, but we'll do that right now. Yes, you can. Look at that. At least it starts to highlight it in orange, which will help. Here. Just to know,
Adrian says if you can spell their name, which in the SCA can be a challenge. Agreed, but like you can try it.
There is also If you're not sure how to spell somebody's name, you can do search by people by local group and just go and click on Unsterhofen. And at this point, it's going to be listed alphabetically. So here's Adrian, and then it'll show you all the awards that he's received, as well as his little device, which is awesome. You can click on that and make it bigger. And if he has a badge, ooh la la, look at that. Isn't that cool? A little bit of a nerd for this stuff, if you haven't noticed. Okay, back on track.
So since you brought up this page, is there an order in which they list the awards on the page? Because it doesn't appear to be chronological.
When you're looking at an actual person, it's listed by precedence. So right now, the highest ranking award that you have is being Territorial Baron of Unsterhofen, so that one's up on top. After that becomes Order of Defense, and then it goes down from there. When I believe once you step down and you get a Court Barony, Defense will move up to the top, and I believe Court Barony will get popped just under it. Actually, let me look up mine and see how it shifted around. There I am. So while I was Baroness, Territorial Baroness was listed up top, but now that I stepped down, my Stag of the Outlands, my Grant of Arms, is the highest precedence award that I have, so that one's listed up top, and then everything goes down from there. So the ones that don't have any precedence at all, for example, like Stonemason, Noble's Gratitude, they end up going down at the bottom. Questions from there? Okay. So one little like cautionary tale I will tell about the Wimble Field, or website rather, is that again, it's one person who organizes and updates this website, and that person relies on the court heralds to submit court reports about what awards were given. That's why there's a lot of whispering and note-taking and like a lot of writing that happens behind the scenes out of court, because we have to keep track of everything that went out. We have to keep track if a person wasn't there and their scroll was read, or if a person wasn't there and their scroll was not read. Like all of that has to be notated to make sure we update precedents correctly and not accidentally give away a surprise of an award that hasn't been issued yet. So sometimes it can take a little bit of time before an award shows up on here. If you ever find that an award that you know has been issued or you yourself have does not show up here, just go down to email Wimble Herald. It may take him some time, but he'll be more than happy to get like any mistakes updated. Like I found duplicates sometimes, I emailed him about it and he'll get it corrected. Or if I see that somebody's missing, he'll get it corrected. Hi, Kaden. You're on camera. Don't pick your nose. Yes, you can have a popsicle. There is that. Yeah. So now we get to the actuals. How do I submit an award recommendation? So aside from Baronial, where you can just email, you would actually want to go to outlands.org, the Kingdom website, and I'll pop this into the chat really quick. And you do have to log in. So you do actually have to make credentials. It doesn't ask for very much, but they like to keep track of where recommendations are coming from, who's sending them. And once it does this little thing, we'll carry on. I think it asks for like a member number and an email address, and then you create your own login and password. But from here, you would go over to the quick links and click on award recommendations. And then submit an award recommendation. So you can click on Review Kingdom Award Info, and it will bring up this lovely page with everybody's awards again. But this is the basic screen, maybe. There we go. So everything with a red star, of course, is going to be required. Your SCA name, your modern name, your local group. Hey, not my stuff. Your number, your email, your address. It may seem like it's asking for a lot, but there have been times when I've submitted an award recommendation and got either an email or a phone call follow-up asking if I knew when that person was going to be at an event, because they really want to try and like track them down at a certain time and place. So it's more for helping the magic happen than anything else. You don't have to know a super lot about the person you're submitting for. For example, if you don't know their society name or their modern name, well, you'll want to know one or the other, I think, but you don't have to know both. You don't have to know their local group or their member number, but you do have to pick an award, and you do have to share some words about why you believe they deserve those works. There's also this lovely little link here, again, to the description of all the awards in case you need it there. Once you get all of that filled in, hit submit. You will receive an email with like a record of what you submitted, so that, and I save mine so I know, did I ever submit this? Yes, I did. And it goes into this massive database, massive database that tracks every award recommendation that comes in through this site, and it gets passed from crown to crown. So whatever doesn't get awarded one reign is still in there for another reign. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't get friends to submit recommendations for the same person, because it helps to have more in. It helps the odds of them getting it. Any questions from there? Oh.
Safiyya, Miriam's asking if you have to be a member to create an account on the Outlands webpage.
I believe you do. I believe you do have to have a member number. It's been a while since I created mine, but I believe that's accurate. Which makes sense. Technically, you have to be a member to get an award too. So, like, they won't give an AOA level award or higher to anybody who's not a member. I actually touch base on that a little bit later. Reasons why an award might not happen, or if it seems delayed for any reason. I'll go over that too.
I thought you didn't have to be a member to create the account, because you don't have to be a member to give a recommendation.
You might be right. They ask for. You might be right, because they don't ask for my member number to submit it. Honestly, it's been years since I made a login for this website, so I don't remember everything that was required.
I just checked the register new account form, and it didn't look like it was going to ask for the membership number, so I think anyone can get one.
I will edit this. Number not needed. I'll put that in later.
Are there any restrictions on who you can recommend for awards? Like, you know, can you recommend your significant other or your child, or, you know, is there any kind of things that are viewed as a conflict of interest kind of thing?
Not for a recommendation. You may see that more on the issuance side of things. Like, I've had many a crown like confide in me and say, if they weren't my husband, girlfriend, spouse, sibling, relative, I would have given them a such and such ages ago. And they don't do it so it doesn't look like nepotism or favoritism, which is understandable. But for a recommendation, it's fine. You absolutely can. You can absolutely advocate for a family member. It's like, hey, if you think my husband or my girlfriend or my partner or whatever deserves this like I do, please help me, and let's get like a letter campaign going and all submit recommendations for them. There's no problem with that at all, because ultimately it's at the discretion of the crown or the baronage. I think we touched base on that too. There we go. Can I recommend someone who does not live in my local group? Absolutely. As long as you know their name and what group they're in, and you have like good, strong words to share about what they did that deserves a certain award. You may have to do some research if you're trying to recommend for their barony as opposed to your own. But you can absolutely recommend someone who does not live in your local group. You can recommend them to your baron and baroness. You can recommend them to their baron and baroness. You could recommend somebody in Unsterhofen to an outside baron and baroness if you know that they did something exceptional in a different barony. Absolutely, you can. Can I recommend somebody who does not live in my kingdom? Also, yes. This one gets a little bit crazier because, again, every kingdom has their own Herald's website and keeps track of precedents. I don't know how to navigate those as well. It may be easiest to like email a kingdom herald or a baron or baroness of an out kingdom barony if you happen to know where that person is from. Can I recommend someone for a peerage? Yes, you absolutely can. You do not have to be a peer to recommend somebody for a peerage. Make sure it's an appropriate recommendation, like don't submit a brand new fighter for knighthood. Maybe make sure he gets an AOA first. But yes, you can submit someone for peerage. Did kind of briefly touch on armigerous versus non-armigerous. Were there any other questions about that part? No, doesn't look like it. What award should I not recommend? So Count, Countess, Duke, Duchess, Viscount, and Viscountess are the only ones that you can't really recommend because they're an award, but they're also an elevation that's granted for Count, Countess, Duke, Duchess at the end of being crowned. Or in the Viscount, Viscountess, we don't see those that often in the Outlands, but when you step down from reigning over principality, you get named a Viscount or Viscountess. We can't really recommend because unless something really awful happens, it's kind of automatic. Then there are issues that are specifically designed, awards, sorry, that are specifically designed for a crown to issue based on personal service during their reigns, like the Cordon Royales, the Queen's Cipher, the Queen's Grace. Those are, unless you yourself were part of the royal retinue and you saw somebody working towards those ends, it's really awkward to try and recommend someone for personal service to the Queen unless you were at the Queen's side every day of her reign. It's just an awkward thing. Reasons that may delay an award being given. Oh, let me pause for a second. Any questions from there? No? Okay. Again, the recipient must be a paid member. While there are some non-armigerous awards that can kind of give a barony some wiggle room, I know you don't have to be a member to, say, get Rose d'Or or Noble's Gratitude, but lack of membership will often result in a recommendation being left for a later time. There were quite a few people who came and asked me about a certain person getting an AOA, and my first response was, do they have their membership? Because there were some recommendations we put in like 2 or 3 times, once every time a new reign popped up, but there was no membership, so we couldn't get that AOA out. The recipient already has the award, but the Wimble website has not yet been updated. That's a frustrating little black hole, unfortunately. They're not, most of the time you don't get a response from the Crown that they already had that award. It may happen on the baronial level, but yeah, sometimes you just have to wait and it'll pop up later on. The Crown had already commissioned a scroll be made for a different award. Most of the time, and it really depends on how the Crown chooses to organize their reign, but most of the time, a king and queen will try not to stack multiple awards on one person at one event. So sometimes, yeah, they may be totally deserving of this ANS award, and they're only going to be at this one barony, this one time during their reign, but they already have a fighting award for them, so they're going to get that. But they will leave your recommendation for an ANS award in the database so that a future reign can address it. Sometimes the scroll has already been requested for that particular award. I need to reword that. In the cases of awards like Walker of the Way, that's issued only once per reign, if the Crown already has a scroll prepared for a person, it's not to say that your person that you're submitting isn't deserving, but they've already done the work for somebody else. So again, they'll leave your recommendation in the database to be considered the next time. And then one that brought me quite a bit of frustration during my time, at the discretion of the Crown is a very real thing. Some crowns prefer to give awards for acts of service or fighting or arts and sciences that they themselves have witnessed, regardless of what recommendations that they get. Like, they look at everything, but whether or not they issue that award is if they get to see it in action themselves, which is completely their right. You can like go back and forth and debate on whether or not that's a good thing to do or a bad thing to do, but sometimes that happens. Sometimes at the baronial level, you may have submitted someone for an award, but the king and queen have asked for all barons and baronesses not to issue any AOA level awards because they want to be the ones to give out that very first award a person gets. Which is a really nice gesture. It just means that things are delayed on the baronial level. It happens sometimes, and again, it varies greatly from crown to crown. And a baron and baroness can only just kind of work with what they're given every 6 months, unless it's pandemic time, then it lasts forever. And that's mostly it. That's basically all the information that you need to be able to look up different types of awards, research if a person has it, and get it sent into the crown, or simply send an email to their excellencies. Super short. Any questions?
So one of the people that I personally have in mind, and I won't say names because I'm trying to be sneaky here, was a member of our barony many years ago, moved to another kingdom, played there, and I don't actually know if they have converted their registration to being in our barony. And I don't know their full SCA name. I only know their modern name. So it basically I'm trying to search their modern name, but not knowing which kingdom they're registered with.
Okay, so they're no longer living in the Outlands?
Well, they've come back. I just don't know if they've
back.
actually updated their records to reflect that.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's when somebody moves to another kingdom, it's really up to that person to reach out to either their seneschal, their group herald, or just the kingdom herald themselves to ask for all records to be brought over. It's a really simple process, but a lot of people forget to do it because we won't know where they are. Do you want to private message me their name, like in Facebook?
Sure. I can chat with you later. I also noticed when we were looking, or while I had pulled up the list of members of our barony, which actually was super handy to have everybody's name. I saw one person on there that I know moved to whatever kingdom is in Texas. So I know that they don't live here, and I'm wondering, like, is it helpful if I let people know when I spot stuff like that, or is it just really individual?
It absolutely is, because what I can do, if you give me their name and we figured out what kingdom we're in, I can email that kingdom herald and say, hey, this person's now in your kingdom. Here's a link to all of their precedents in the Outlands, and you can move it over there.
Cool.
It helps, especially for those awards that kind of are like transfer across all kingdoms, like AOAs. If you have an AOA in one kingdom, you have an AOA in all kingdoms, or any kind of peerage. It's good to be recognized for like grant level awards too, across the board. But yeah, just anytime you notice anything like that, if you don't feel comfortable emailing Wimble yourself directly, let me know. As Baronial Herald, I can help get that sorted out.
Okay.
Any other questions?
You know, Vigdis and I had a conversation months ago now, and I don't know, Vigdis, if you remember it.
Her face says no.
It was like March, so like dig deep. But the conversation was about when you're looking at an individual's list of awards, they might have something that's a really high level award, and you might have a tendency to then think they would not value an award that wasn't viewed as, prestigious. And so Vigdis made the point that actually some of those lower level awards are, something that are really prized, and it can actually really be sort of a disappointment for somebody personally to not have this other award. So to not eliminate those.
This is true. This is true. It is any award that a person doesn't already have, by all means, recommend them for it if they've done the work to deserve that award. Even if they may already be a knight or a peer of the realm in some way. I'm trying to find, where'd my little link go? Oh, up here. See if I can find something as an example. Group. I always think Tracker, but I think his name is under Rand. Yep, there he is. So, he was made a knight in 2001, but he didn't get a silver lance and a question award until 2012. Let me tell you, he cherishes that so deeply. So deeply. Even though he's already a knight, a peer of the realm, he can grab the ear of the king at any point in time to give his recommendations and his thoughts, but to be recognized at, the basic kingdom AOA level for his equestrian skills was a huge accomplishment for him. So yes, by all means, even if they are already, in this case, a double peer, by all means, give those lower, quote unquote, lower level recommendations. Because that means that they've been doing work at the local level with their home group, their home community. That means just as much as like kingdom recognition.
Okay, next question. You call attention to awards for members under the age of 15.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, perhaps because I do not have children of my own, I have no idea. They all look like babies. I don't know. So is there, I mean, do you just sort of like keep an eyeball out for who their parent is and then quiz? Like that seems like you're giving away the secret too. Like I just don't.
Well, yes, but you can give away the secret to the parents, as I promise you. There's going to be a phone call made to the parent anyway to make sure a certain little rugrat's at the event in question. So, and to make sure the little rugrat is not swinging from the monkey bars at the point when they call his name. So you have to go running outside because he got impatient waiting for court, and then you have to run back inside because they warned me, but I couldn't keep him sitting still. Thank you, Caden. But yes, the parents will know.
Or they're wearing their mundane clothes while they're in the playground when they get killed.
Yes. But or ask around, especially ask the Baron and Baroness. If you know it's like these kids in Cairgalen camp, you can go to the Baron and Baroness of Cairgalen. They got a bunch of kids. Oh my goodness. It's the water, I tell you. And because I used to go to their fighter practice when a little surprise happened. So yeah, I blame the water in Cairgalen. Monkeys everywhere. But they know their kids, and they love to get a chance to recognize the children in their baroning. They absolutely do. So yeah, just ask around. As long as the person in question doesn't know, like everybody in the SCA more or less understands, unless you're very brand spanking squeaky new, they understand the whole purpose behind the secretism of giving an award, just so it could be like this really awesome surprise. So they'll help you, they'll get you information, they'll keep on the hush hush, ask around. Or ask me to ask around. Ask Adrian and Miriam to ask around, because they probably will see those barons and baronesses more often than we will. Because they all hang out in that back room and like talk crap about everybody. No, they don't. I used to.
Vigdis has a question about AOAs. Can young people, like 15-year-olds or younger, get AOAs, or is it limited to older people?
I believe that 15 is the cutoff. So 16 and older can get an AOA. If somebody gets recommended for incredible acts of service, fighting, ANS, what have you, and they're 15 or younger, they'll probably end up getting like a Promise of the Outlands or one of those like youth awards. And I would say 7 to 15 is the range to look at for those youth awards, because I know that for most baronies, 7 is the cutoff age for having to pay to get into an event. So that's usually what I kind of like try to stick to, because I mean, yeah, 4-year-olds are cute and they help, sort of, but they're only there because their parents drag them, and they don't really dig what's going on. But like, you get to 7 or 8 years old and they actually do want to help, or they do want to play boffer, or they do want to shoot archery, and then they actually are making like their own conscious effort, not just doing what mommy and daddy told them to.
Thank you.
Okay, now I have an obscure question.
Ooh.
Are you aware of any awards given to animals? Because they're not members, but I'm thinking like horses that are participating in events. And some events have, like dog coursing, whatever. I'm just curious. It just struck me as like a...
Not officially, as in they haven't gone through the whole... So, by the way, if you've gone through the process of submitting a name and a device, and you know that long, arduous procedure you have to go through, every time an award is made, the barony itself has to go through that long, arduous process. So every award you see in the Wimble website, there has been a submission form sent in, and the fees paid, and you sat and waited, and then you had to get the charter signed. So it's a big deal to create an award. So no, we don't have any officially for animals. However, I have seen like playful tongue-in-cheek awards given. There was one given to a cat one time by Johan and Martine. It was really adorable. They made a little scroll and everything and gave him like a little basket with catnip toys. and it was really cute. I've seen tributes given to horses. I know there was a very, very sad year for horses in Kerta. I believe 2 of them passed away, and there was a huge, like in Kingdom Court, like Saturday night Kingdom Court memorial, a song sang and drums played, and all of the barding of the horse wore through its life, and the SCA brought out, and there was a beautiful, touching moment. So animals are definitely honored. It's just not done at an official level because, well, that just takes time. They just do something nice to give to the owners.
Aegeon just made a comment in the chat saying, don't they have an award for animals via their caretakers?
Not that I'm aware of, not that I have seen. Again, I've seen tributes and like little, I call them like Burnham Awards. So they'll have like a scribe sit down and make something. They'll come up with like pretty words to put onto the paper for that one event, for that one animal. But I haven't seen like any kind of precedence kept for an award in that regard. We should though. That would be pretty cool. I guess any kind of equestrian award sort of counts because you can't be an equestrian without having your horse that you work with and who works with you just as hard. But it's never worded. The wording of those awards don't include the name of the animal, only the name of the writer. But yeah, that is a curious one. And I really wish they had dog coursing, by the way, because that would be fun. Watch dogs run around. Any other questions?